You want six-pack abs. You're doing sit-ups, crunches, finishing your workouts with different ab circuits and have been dieting for months, but you still can't see them. And it's fucking annoying. I know that because, well, that was me. For years, I was that guy that wanted nothing more than to have visible abs. I've made every mistake in the book along the way, and for the last 5 years, I've coached hundreds of guys into six-pack shape. But in order to get there, myself and all of those lads had to fix a few things along the way. So gents, in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the 3 key reasons why you can't see your abs right now, the biggest mistakes you're making, and then the exact steps I would take if I had to try and get visible abs all over again. So let's get into it. You probably already know that in order to get leaner and see your abs, you need to lose body fat. But what you don't know is how your body fat is actually stored and therefore how to lose it effectively. And it's costing you progress. You see, the majority of us guys are essentially genetically predispositioned to store more body fat around our midsection than we will any other area on our body, which, yeah, is quite shit. But understanding that is gonna help you shift that body fat a hell of a lot quicker. Because one of the biggest myths in the fitness industry is that you can spot reduce body fat, and you can't. You lose body fat across the entirety of your body, but think about it for a second. If you're storing more body fat around your midsection than you are your chest, your arms, and your shoulders, those areas are going to lean up first. And your stomach is gonna be the last thing to lean up. And to be honest, a lot of lads find themselves in that exact position when they've been dieting for a couple of months and they are noticing progress across the other areas of their body, but their stomach seems to be lagging behind. They don't understand why, they feel like they just can't lose the body fat, and that's where they start making knee-jerk reactions. They start doing loads of ab crunches, they try a different diet, or they cut their calories super aggressively. Obviously, none of that works. They end up getting more frustrated, they're still stuck in the same position, and more often than not, they give up and they quit. When in reality, they were losing fat absolutely fine to begin with. They just started that fat loss process storing more body fat around their midsection. What you may also notice is that it's harder to lose the body fat from the lower part of your stomach, and there's good reason for this. The fat cells in the lower abdomen have a higher density of what's called alpha-2 receptors, which are basically tiny little switches in the body that signal the body to store body fat instead of burning it, and is one of the big reasons why so many lads are able to see some definition in the upper abs, but getting those lower abs to pop through is incredibly difficult. So although it sounds harsh and stupidly simple, without a doubt the biggest reason why guys struggle to see their abs is simply because they're not lean enough yet. Reason number 2, your abs aren't developed enough. We've all heard the saying, abs are made in the kitchen, and it's true. You're not going to be able to see your abs if you've got a layer of body fat covering them, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try and build them. Now, I've been guilty of making this mistake in the past and neglecting my ab training, but you need to understand that your abs are just like any other muscle group. They need frequent stimulation and progressive overload in order to get stronger. And I know you might be sitting there staring at me through the screen saying,
Harry, I'm doing loads of crunches.
well, I'm here to tell you that crunches aren't enough. To put it into context, let's just imagine you wanted to grow your biceps. You would probably pick 2 to 4 different bicep exercises that target both heads of the bicep and try and get as strong as possible on those exercises over a period of time. At least if you're subscribed to the YouTube channel and have been watching my videos, that's what you tried to do. What you wouldn't do is walk into the gym, stand in front of the dumbbell rack, not pick up any dumbbells, and instead just curl your arms up and down aimlessly. You see how stupid that is, right? Well, that's exactly what you're doing when you spam the crunches and the sit-ups. Instead, I want you to do these 2 exercises 2 to 3 times a week. The first is a weighted cable crunch to target the upper abs, and the second is a hanging leg raise or knee raise variation, which you can add weight to and progress with over time. I'd stick to a couple of sets of 10 to 12 reps and try and take each set as close to failure as you possibly can. Between the 2 of them, these exercises target both the upper and the lower abs, and you can apply progressive overload, which means you'll get stronger and build your abs. Training your abs properly like this is going to make them pop, so when your body fat is low enough, they're going to become more visible. And reason number 3, your nutrition doesn't match your goal. This is the part that most people will probably switch this video off because they don't want to hear it, but it's arguably the most important part of the entire process. Regardless as to what your favorite influencer is telling you, getting visible abs requires time in a calorie deficit. And in my opinion, the only way to guarantee that you stay in that deficit for a long enough period of time to get lean enough is to track your calories.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Most guys massively overestimate how many calories they actually consume, and even when they're eating healthy, they're still probably eating too many calories in order to create that deficit. Some great examples of this are foods like avocados, nuts, and granola, which on the surface would appear quite healthy, and sure, they're very nutrient nutrient dense, but they're also very calorie dense, which means you don't need to eat a lot of them in order to wipe out your calorie deficit. Now, of course, you don't have to track every gram of food that passes your lips, but if you are genuinely serious about seeing your abs, then getting good at tracking your calories should be a high priority for a few different reasons. Number one, it's going to help build your knowledge base. Over that period of time that you are tracking your calories, you're going to gain a really solid understanding in terms of what's actually in the foods that you're eating. Number two, it gives you data to work off. You can see how much weight you're losing and the calories you're eating to lose that amount of weight, which is going to be especially useful when metabolic adaptation starts to kick in and you need to make some changes. And then number three, it helps build discipline and awareness, which means when you do get yourself into the position where you're no longer tracking all of your calories, you can still make smart, informed decisions to keep you on track. Think of tracking your calories like a map. You're probably not going to need it forever, but it's going to help you get to your destination a hell of a lot quicker. Now the big three are out of the way, I want to run through really quickly a few of the common mistakes that you're probably making. The first is training your abs every single day. Remember what I said earlier, your abs are just like any other muscle group and they're going to need time to recover in between sessions, which is why you should only be focusing on training your abs 2 to 3 times per week. Mistake number two is prioritizing supplements instead of the basics. I'll be completely real with you for a second. Almost 100% of the fat burning products that you see marketed online are a complete waste of money. Mistake number three is not consuming enough protein. Protein is the most satiating macronutrient, not to mention it's going to help the repair and rebuild of muscle tissue and in the long run help you lose more body fat. Mistake number four is expecting results too quickly and then giving up when you don't get them. In the nicest way possible, you almost certainly have more body fat to lose than you think, which is going to take some time. Mistake number five is letting your weekends ruin your progress. If you really want to see your abs, you have to be consistent Monday through to Monday, not just Monday through to Friday. Mistake number six is neglecting your recovery and your lifestyle. 7 to 9 hours of sleep every single night, 3 liters of water every single day, and a minimum of 10,000 steps every single day is going to make losing that body fat and seeing your abs 10 times easier. And then mistake number 7 is adding in random cardio in the hopes that it will speed up the process. When it comes to cardio, you need to drip feed it in to navigate fatigue, otherwise it can end up doing more harm than good. So finally, if I was going back to square one and had to try and get visible abs all over again, this is the exact framework I would follow. Step 1, training. I'd train my abs 2 to 3 times per week and I'd perform a weighted cable crunch and a hanging leg raise, trying to progressively overload on these movements every single week if possible. I'd do 2 to 3 working sets of 10 to 12 repetitions, taking each set within 1 to 2 reps of failure. Step 2, nutrition. I'd make sure I'm in a reasonably aggressive calorie deficit, anywhere from 500 to 1,000 calories on a weekly basis, and I'd keep my protein intake high at around 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. On top of this, I'd try and track my calories as consistently as possible for at least the first 4 to 6 weeks to help build my knowledge base. Step 3, lifestyle. The first thing I do every single morning is take a daily weight measurement and make a note of it. This way I can see what my weight is doing across the full week and gather a weekly average, instead of just reading into anomaly readings and scale weight spikes. I'd walk 10,000 steps every day, drink 3 liters of water per day, and I'd also aim for at least 7 hours of sleep every single night. Step 4, making changes. I'm only going to make changes when my scale weight has stalled for 2 or more weeks in a row. The first change I'd make is dropping my calories down by 100 calories per day each week until my scale weight is moving in the right direction again. Once I get to the point in the fat loss phase where my hunger levels are starting to creep up and I don't want to take away any more food from my plate, then I'll make change number 2, which is increasing my energy expenditure. First, I'd do this by bumping up my daily step count by 2,000 steps per day each week, and then towards the end of the fat loss phase, I'd add in a few extra list cardio sessions each week. Step 5, trusting the process. I'd understand that dropping my body fat percentage down low enough to see my abs is going to take some time, so I'd stay patient and keep showing up. So there we are. You are now pretty much fully equipped to get shredded and see your abs. So if you have enjoyed this video, leave it a thumbs up, drop me any questions you have below, and of course, don't forget to subscribe.